So, did the Sony State of Play have some good information in it this week? Sure looks like it. Hello, my gaming brothers and sisters, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am Jonathan, your host here at QuickBird Gaming, and I appreciate you tuning in for another news video where we cover all the gaming news from the past week that's fit to cover. I'm going to apologize in advance. I am not my normal energetic self today. I'm feeling a little under the weather, and it hadn't been a great week. But I did want to get a news video out to talk about a few things as things have happened. I said I wasn't going to talk about Highguard anymore, but they can't help it, so there's more information there. Discord is fumbling the ball in a major way, I think, and it's going to affect a lot of gamers, so it's worth talking about. And plus some other bits and pieces. As always, if you are interested in a particular story, all the stories I talk about are time-stamped in the description box down below, so feel free to scroll down and jump to a story that interests you. And before we get to all the rest of that, we need to talk about the state of play from this week because there was a whole lot of information there. So let's get into it. Okay, I said I wanted to start with the state of play, which was held on Thursday the 12th. And I like the way this Insider Gaming article breaks it down. It's got each of the announcements separated out so you don't have to scroll through the entire hour. I'm just going to run through them real quick, and we'll talk about some of the things that were talked about. So let's scroll down and take a look here. There was a new Bond trailer. I'm not sure about this game. I'm just going to wait till it gets closer before we decide. They showed the gameplay for Loop, which looks to be a competitive team-based shooter. Looks like they're trying to tap into that Helldivers energy. Beast of Reincarnation is an interesting one to me. It's an action RPG. It was announced before the state of play, but they are saying now it's going to be out this year, if I remember correctly. This is from the folks at Game Freak who make Pokemon games for Nintendo, which, and I think this, as far as I know, this is their first AAA game other than Pokemon. So there's a lot of attention being paid to this. So far, it looks pretty good. Brigantine Abyss looks like a turn-based strategy game. Obviously, we got Castlevania, so some Metroidvania action. We did get gameplay for Control Resonant. Now, I'm really hopeful for this game. I really liked the first game. So far, this looks good, but you know how it is. It's always going to come down to how it actually plays. Announcement for Crimson Moon, which looks like an action RPG. I'm not sure about this one. It kind of looks generic. Playing as a knight, going through, fighting demons. But, like I just said, it'll come down to how well it plays. I don't even remember this one, and the video was unavailable, so I guess I can't talk about that. They announced Death Stranding 2 will be coming to PC in March, so in a couple weeks. Dead or Alive, we're going back to another fighting game. Ghost of Yotai's DLC is releasing, and this is going to feature some multiplayer action, which I think is a first for this IP. So that's coming up soon. They announced the Sons of Sparta as a God of War. It's a side-scroller set in the Gods of War IP universe. And at the same time, I think it's already out. Now I think it dropped with the release, and they announced that they're redoing the first three games. They're remaking the first three games. That no release date yet. Now this was interesting. They announced John Wick is coming. I don't remember what studio's doing it. There's going to be a John Wick game. Just based on the limited amount of gameplay we saw, it looks like it's going to be kind of the Hitman-esque type or Deus Ex type of gameplay. So we'll see how that shakes out. This Kena Scars of Cosmora is a follow-up to the first Kena game, Spirits of Something action RPG. It doesn't look bad, but so there'll be a second one of those. We got some marathon gameplay, a Marvel fighting game, so the second fighting game. A little information on Metal Gear Solid. I don't remember these two games. They must have been pretty unremarkable. The Pragmata trailer was really minimal. It didn't tell us a whole lot. Now, this right here, Project Windless, I think was the most interesting announcement of the game. And if it looks like Black Myth Wukong Rooster Edition, you're not far off. Although the gameplay looks like it plays more like Dynasty Warrior, but it's definitely tapping into some of that mythology. And this dude looks pretty badass. So, and the gameplay we saw looked good. So I think there'll be a lot of attention on this. This is from Krafton, the PUBG folks, and this was just the first look. No, not a whole lot of information about it. Something to keep an eye on. Rayman 30th edition. We got another Requiem trailer that didn't have a whole lot of new information in it. I really don't remember these games. Now this was cool. There's going to be another Silent Hill game out this year, just basically a year after the last one. This one is being set in Scotland. And so they're definitely moving out and moving around the world. Silent Hill F was set in Japan in the 60s. I think this is contemporary, but it is moving to Scotland. So it's interesting. Some more information from Galactic Racer and Star Wars. And I don't remember this trailer at all, so I can't talk about it. But anyway, there's a ton of stuff in here if you want to check it out. I will link this article from Insider Gaming in the description box because I think, like I said, this broke it down really well. But lots of new information, some new game announcements, and a look at some other upcoming games. So go check it out. Well, like I said, I wasn't going to talk about Highguard, but they seem to leave me a little choice in the matter. We've got this Dual Shockers article from Tuesday the 11th. Jeff's hype couldn't prevent the Highguard layoffs, and essentially, when you scroll down here, this came as reported by Shinobi602 on Twitter. Several members of the Highguard team are posting on LinkedIn that they've been laid off, and you can see the post on X that most of the staff at Wildlight Entertainment Highguard Studio has been laid off. Now later on, you can go down, you can read on further. And they confirm a core of developers is still working on the game, but for a live service game to lay off most of its developers, whatever that means, at this stage, and the game is not even a month old, is not a sign of any kind of health in the game. Now, this alone I wouldn't have brought up. I wouldn't even have bothered, except that I want to flip over to this Eurogamer article from Thursday the 13th. We were turned into a joke from minute one. Fired Highguard developer reflects on game's ill-fated launch and false assumptions after the Game Awards reveal. The hate started immediately. A former Wildlight developer shared their thoughts on the release after its announcement, stating, due to false assumptions around its trailer, we were turned into a joke. Okay, we know it closed out the Game Awards and everything else. Writing in a lengthy post on social media, lead technical artist Josh Sobel said, Now, before I even get into this, let me just say that I understand where this guy's coming from. He's talking about the fact that people dogpiled on this game because it was shown at the Game Awards in the coveted last spot, and a lot of people had negative reaction. My reaction at the time, and you can go watch my stream of the Game Awards, which is here on YouTube under the live section. My thought was, is there room in this market for another shooter? I didn't have a whole lot of commentary on the game myself, mostly because I don't play these types of games. But I just thought to myself, considering you just had Marvel Rivals had come out earlier that year, or a year ago, and Arc Raiders had literally just come out 2 months before the Game Awards, that it sucked up a lot of audience. Overwatch, as we'll get to in a minute, was in the process of rebuilding and is resurging. A lot of people have found their hero team shooter type of game and are not really ready to leave it. Was there room for another one? That was my only thought. And clearly there wasn't, because this game just didn't resonate with people. Now, I know, like I said, a lot of people dogpiled onto this game and were hating on it early for a variety of reasons. I understand where that can be frustrating as the developer and a creator. But really, this paragraph right at the beginning of his rant is where Sobel loses me. He says, Sobel said internal feedback on Highguard prior to its reveal was quite positive, and the team felt confident and had a hit on its hands. When all you're doing is talking to your inner circle and everybody's telling you, yeah, boss, everything is great, you're probably in trouble. That is, the term toxic positivity gets thrown around a lot. That's what we're talking about, where nobody's willing to tell you that you have a problem. They said where feedback was negative, it was construction and actionable. He added, who played the game, including us, had a blast. They never put this game out for any kind of early access. They didn't have alpha testing. They didn't have beta testing. They didn't have a free-to-play weekend. They didn't do anything to actually get the opinion of the people they needed to get an opinion of, their customers. Okay? Just because everybody in the office and everybody in the industry is telling you that this game is great does not mean it's so. And yes, a lot of negativity was built up following that trailer, but the people at Wildlight really stumbled and really did this wrong. And there's just no way around that, and no amount of blaming this on internet hate mongering is going to absolve them of the fact that they made major missteps in market. I mean, there was no marketing for this game. There was that trailer, and then they went completely radio silent for 5 or 6 weeks before the game dropped. They did not do this right. And blaming it on, and really, they say, well, then it's the internet's fault and it's the trolls' fault it didn't work. You left the consumer nothing else to work with. You didn't give out people a chance to play the game. You didn't market it. You didn't put out developer diaries. You did nothing. If it's the internet's fault, it's because you let it be the default. You didn't do it right. So, and Sobel goes on, and this is a very lengthy trailer where he talks about a lot of this stuff, and they talk about it a little bit more in this article. But I don't know, it comes off as whining to me because, again, he may be, even if you assume he's completely right and that the trolls were the ones that ruined this game, you gave the customer nothing else to work with. That was the only opinion out there. So, you're kind of, as they say in the old days, hoisted by your own petard. You fucked around and found out, played stupid games, whatever phrase you want to use. This is not the fault of the customers. You had 100,000 people try it, and even though I've seen people say, well, like 40% of people didn't even play a full match by the time, based on their play for the review on Steam, they didn't play well, then you had 60,000 players who at least played a full match, and you couldn't retain any of them. That's not on the trolls. You didn't give people what they really wanted. It didn't stand out enough from the other things in the market. And while I don't think I don't think people should be making personal attacks against Sobel or any of these other creators. A, welcome to the internet. That's just how things are. And B, gamers don't owe you anything. If you don't give a good product, they're not going to play your game. And for every troll that's out there attacking you, there's probably 10 people who tried it and went, I don't want to play it, or didn't bother. Because again, you say that the trolls steered people away, you gave them nothing else to work with. So this will probably be the last time I talk about Highguard until they actually physically shut it down, which at the rate they're going might be next week. Well, since I talked about Highguard, I might as well talk about a couple of its competitors that seem to be doing a little better in recent days. First of all is this Insider Gaming article from Tuesday the 11th. Overwatch is back. Claims surface online as game hits new all-time player peak. Overwatch has been relaunched. The game's previous 2 has been removed. A new season of content has brought players flooding back to the hero shooter in droves. And let's see, it goes through a couple of other things that have happened. But basically, people have said, like as shown in the social media post, Overwatch is back. Now, whether or not this resurgence can be maintained is debatable. It says it hit a all new peak of 165,000 users on Steam. That's not just a slight climb. That's over 100% increase as it previously peaked at 75,000 back in 2023. And we can look at the Steam charts, and this is for the last month, and you can see definitely it's hit a peak. It was hitting 40,000 players, and is now hit that 165 and has kind of leveled off to just over 100,000 daily players. And if you look at the max going all the way back, the max time span going all the way back to 2023, where it hit 75,000 on Steam, and you can see it hit 165. It's not ever been that high since. Now, it does say that the overall reviews are negative, and I checked the Steam page directly, and that's about right. Current reviews are mixed. There's still some people that haven't been impressed with it, but there apparently are enough because they're sticking around. They're still hitting 100,000 a day. That's just on Steam. I know a lot of people on Overwatch are playing through, I think they play through Battle.net, they play through Blizzard directly. So this was the changes they made, and I've talked about them before, that they were adding new content. They're adding 10 players this year instead of 5, and they're doing a lot of quality of life upgrades. It was enough to bring people back to check it out. At the same time, I'll go to this PC Gamer article from, also from the 13th. Arc Raiders had nearly 1 million concurrent players in January, around 6 million weekly active users, claims Nexon, which is amazing. They've sold 12 million units. This game shows no signs of slowing down in the 3 months since it's been out. It's doing very, very well for itself. So the fact that, Highguard struggled with all these problems is not saying you can't find success out there. You just can't do it the way they tried to do it. This one actually hurts my soul to talk about a little bit because I like to view gaming as a refuge from the real world and all the problems that are out there. But it seems like And no matter how hard we try, the real world finds ways to stick its snout into the gaming space and create troubles. This game's industry.biz article from Monday, the 9th of February, will lead us off. Discord announces age verification will be required from all users from March, and the update, we'll get to the update in a second. The original story, they say chat and community tool Discord has announced it will be rolling out age verification for all new and existing users from March, with any account unable to prove its age being limited to, quote, teen appropriate experience. Discord age verification will be carried out by facial age estimation or the submission of verification to vendor partners, i.e. third-party people who will verify. The move follows a rollout of similar restrictions to users in the UK and Australia following recent legislation, which saw users successfully evade verification by using Death Stranding's photo mode. Okay. And it said, in today's announcement, Discord said the use of video selfies for agent verification would never leave a user's device, and, quote, identity documents submitted to our vendor partners are deleted quickly. Okay, the following restrictions would apply to any account that has not been age verified: content filters, age-gated spaces, so you wouldn't be able to use not safe for work channels or servers, message request inbox, direct messages from people a user may not know are routed to a separate inbox, friend alert, only age-assured adults may speak on stage and servers, and so on. Now you can come to the update, and they said following a negative reaction, which is a mild understatement, to the announcement, the company updated its announcement to state that for most adults, age verification wouldn't be required, as the platform would be able to infer from their age from account information such as the age of the account, tenure, device and data activity, and aggregated high-level patterns across Discord communities. They said it would not use private messages or any message content in this process. Okay, that's kind of the facts of what's been said, not the facts of what will happen, because you know what happens and what's been said are never the same thing. Okay, that's what they've said for now. Now, having said that, we're going to go over this Eurogamer article from Saturday the 14th. Discord advises UK users that they may be part of an experiment where instead of their age verification data never leaving their phone, it will now actually leave their phone. Everyone say it with me. I'm shocked that they are now backtracking and saying, oh yeah, your data will actually leave your phone. Okay, and this talks a little bit about what we just discussed. And then they said, however, users in the UK noted Discord, its FAQ advises British users they may be part of an experiment where your information will be processed by age assurance vendor persona. Okay? All details are blurred except for your photo and date of birth, so that only what's truly needed for age verification. Now, that's not all. Some people are not only happy with the age verification process itself, but people bankrolling Persona, which also includes the investment fund of Palantir founder Peter Thiel. So, a company that is all about observing and collecting information is bankrolling a service that collects your information. And as far as they say that this being that the data will never leave your phone, and then now it's going to leave your phone, and now it's secure. Well, we go to this Ars Technica article from last week that says Discord faces backlash over age checks after their data breach exposed 70,000 IDs because back in October, hackers stole government IDs of 70,000 Discord users from a third-party service that Discord previously trusted to verify ages in the United Kingdom and Australia. You know, the ones they said are never kept and are never retained. And, but now your ID is out there in the wild. I'm not telling anybody here what to do. You do what you feel comfortable with. However, I would highly suggest to you never give any third party your information if you can help it, even in a government-issued ID, because you don't know what's being done with that information. You don't know who has access to it, who's controlling it, who's using it for purposes that aren't legit. You know, facial verification, I'm a little less sketchy on, because anytime you've put yourself on a YouTube video, your face is out there. And although it's not necessarily tied to my government name or my address or anything like that. So just some of these things, when it's never about safety, that's always a bullshit argument. It's about control and it's about information. Sell that juicy information and get it to the government, to the corporations who can use it for marketing. The data breaches, other people who get it on the dark web and use it for nefarious purposes. Because now that if they have your government ID, if it has a social security number on it or something, now that's out there and that's going to be sold off and used. I really hate this intrusiveness, and this wasn't even necessary. Nobody's leaned on Discord. They're trying to be proactive and to fall in line with the UK and Australia, who are getting more authoritarian by the day in this area. But Discord didn't have to roll this out now. They didn't have to roll it out worldwide. I heard, and I'm not saying this is a fact because I haven't verified it, but I heard they're going public. They're a private company now, and I heard they're going public. So maybe this is related. I would encourage you, if this bothers you, because it bothers me, to start looking into alternatives. I know there's something out there called Root. I don't know much about. At least one of my groups is considering going back to TeamSpeak, just because of some of these things that are happening. So, nobody's going to look out for your best interest but you. So, pay attention to what's going on in Discord. You're fucking up, no question about it. People are not going to like this, and you get whatever you deserve. You deserve whatever you get, what comes out of this. If half your users leave you, I would say that's not enough. Okay, I've done a lot of babbling so far in this video, so I just have a couple other stories I want to touch on quickly and actually talk about some news. We have this Video Games Chronicle article from Monday, February 9th. Riot Games says it's downsizing the 2XKO development team after a disappointing launch. They've announced they've downsized the development team behind its League of Legends fighting game 2XKO just weeks after it left early access and launched for consoles. Following its full launch on January 21st, the free-to-play title hasn't reached the level needed to support a team of this size for long term. And one individual said he had been laid off with 30 minutes notice after working on 2XKO in some form for a decade. It is rough out there in the games industry, no question. I mostly only bring this up because just to point out that even though Riot has a huge cash cow with League of Legends, they haven't had a great couple of months here. First they let Hytale go back to its creator after letting it sit in development hell for 4 years. And, that game has already been a smash hit after it's been released individually, and Riot let that go. And now this 2XKO apparently is not doing too well. So, just because it's the AAA industry doesn't mean they're making all the right moves, as we've clearly seen. It's becoming an ongoing trend. Next is this Game Rant article from Thursday the 12th. Diablo 2 just released on another platform 25 years after it first launched. This is interesting to me because it makes me wonder if we're seeing, if Activision Blizzard is starting to signal a potential change to the way they're doing business. Obviously things like Overwatch have been available on other platforms other than Battle.net, and now you're seeing Diablo also move out. Makes me wonder if this maybe Microsoft is leaning on them to try and capture more of an audience, because obviously Activision Blizzard is owned by Microsoft. Unknown at this time, but anyway, the article says Blizzard finally confirmed Diablo 2 Resurrected is coming to Steam, mirroring the other franchises that made the jump. It's okay, and they say it's been a good couple of weeks for Blizzard with the Overwatch overhaul, World of Warcraft preparing for a new expansion, Diablo 2, Diablo 4 getting new announcements, and now Diablo 2 is available to a wider player base. And so that game is now available on Steam. We can hop over to the Steam database and look and see. It's just kind of slowly been ticking up since it released on the 11th. Slowly been ticking up and getting a better player base. Obviously, Diablo was a very well-beloved franchise, very popular, very enjoyable. On my How Does It Play Today series, where I look back at games celebrating their 25th anniversary, I played the original Diablo 2 last year. It's still a blast, so I understand the appeal, especially now kind of with the Resurrected. They've upgraded and remastered the graphics and so on. I get it, but it's now, like I said, it's available to a wider audience, and that's nothing but a good thing. I wanted to highlight this IGN article from Friday the 13th. and I think this is a great step forward. Steam will soon encourage players to share PC specs on the reviews. They're introducing the ability to include your hardware specs in any reviews you leave on Steam. It's right now it's only part of the client beta, but eventually I think this will be rolled out for the mainline client. Valve explains that reviewers can attach their hardware specs when writing or updating a Steam review on the game's storefront page. Some reviewers already include this information in the body, but this will allow them to do this, and also to provide anonymized frame rate data too. These things I think are great because what this does is this allows you to go in and compare your specs to the reviewers, and then that way you can kind of gauge how the performance may relate to your specs or not. If you have a potato computer and they're having problems running it with better hardware, you may say this isn't going to work for me, and also vice versa. If they're having problems running it, but you look and your computer's much more powerful, it may be better. See, this is just more information at the consumer's disposal, and that's what I like. The popular saying is Steam does nothing and wins while it watches opponents fall apart. But we forget that Steam also does a lot of good things for its consumer too. And for my last story, well, I love the smaller studios and their successes. So I want to start off with this PC Gamer article that was published on Thursday, the 12th. 5 million Henrys, and they're all quite hungry. KCD2 has sold gangbusters since its launch last year. And as you scroll down here, they said Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has sold 5 million copies since its release. And that is, to me, just amazing. Now, I know Warhorse would be considered more of a AA studio than an indie, but they're not. I wouldn't consider them a AAA studio. And the fact is, they said at the time that this game's whole development cost was in the $40 million range. And I want to say this game sold for $60. So off the top, that's $300 million gross, even by the time you take out storefronts and everything else. They cleared well over $2.5 million against their $40 million investment. $250 million, I'm sorry, against their $40 million investment. This company has done great. They've done great with this whole series. The two games, Kingdom Come Deliverance and Part 2, are continuing to sell well, and I love to see it. I love to see these smaller studios do great. Along that line, we're going to kick over to this Games Radar article, also from Thursday the 12th. This seems like a very tough boss. Mewgenics eyes Steam's rogue-like record held by Hades 2 as the cat breeding sim surpasses its legendary devs' other indie hit, The Binding of Isaac. It also sold 500,000 copies in 36 hours. Mewgenics is almost the kind of roguelike that surpasses the current player counts of the likes of Vampire Survivors. Let's see where they said... see, blah, 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 where I'm trying to find... okay, they hit the peak of 83,000 players on Steam. This beat Binding of Isaac's peak. And they said, I'm now being told we had passed Vampire Survivors peak. The only roguelite with more peak players than us is Hades 2. Getting to 112,000 players, which was Hades 2, says this seems like a very tough boss. And this is really kind of interesting to me because this is a game that I think came out of absolutely nowhere. I hadn't heard of it until the other day, until I saw it. I saw a couple of popular streamers playing it. If I scroll over to the SteamDB, sitting at 91%, that's a great rating. And it hit 102,000 in its first week. It did get over 100,000 peak players. They said it sold 500,000 in 36 hours. It's got to be getting close to 1 million now, although we haven't seen, or past that, we haven't seen new sales figures. But to me, indie success story, this is the first big indie hit of 2026. And you know me, I love to see it. All right, everyone, I'm going to end this video here and shuffle off and do some more things. If you enjoyed this content, please consider doing the YouTube stuff. Leave a like on the video. Comment down below. Let me know if you think I missed a major news story this week or you had comments on one of the ones I did cover. And if you would like to give me your subscription, I would love to have that. I appreciate you all tuning in. I will be back next week with more Quick Bird news and more game stories to cover. So thank you for watching. You all go out there and live your best lives. And y'all stay gaming.